strength and conditioning experts are quick to agree, and I was one of them, that balance training is not necessary, doesn't boost performance. There was a study done some time ago that showed that instability training wasn't improving performance and may have some detrimental impact on power. And that study has led to balance training being one of the most ridiculed elements or styles of training. But the truth is, some of the best athletes that you know have used this type of training. Standing on pipes, walking forwards and backwards, standing on two pipes at the same time. Balance training is where it all starts. Balance training is the first step. It's the most valuable thing that you can do if you're working with babies and children with learning disabilities or challenges will focus on balance as one of their first steps. I've got two options here with the pipe. This is a good example of it. The primary challenge for Eden is at 16 months. His ability to stand on one foot is a key factor in his quality of life. It's a key factor in all of our quality of life, but it's not as obvious as when we're that age where we're wanting to negotiate going up and down steps. And then later in life, it becomes a key factor again, getting in and out of the shower, etc. Our balance is a fundamental to quality of life, but also to quality of performance. So from the very highest level of performance down to babies and elderly and people who have cognitive challenges that make it hard for them to balance, this is the foundation of performance. That's why I have so many balance tools. I'm only here visiting for a short time in Germany, and I have all of these tools. A lot of them I've purchased just while I've been here in these last 6 weeks. Going to talk through each of the tools and why they're so important, but at the foundational level, everything starts from balance. If we're going to exert a lot of force, if we're going to be coordinated, it all happens on the foundation of balance. If we're juggling, if we're executing a throw in handball, if we're executing a kick in soccer, the balance is the underpinning. And just because we take it for granted doesn't mean that it's not a key factor. And the athlete who seems to be a natural will always have this foundational ability well developed. And there are other fundamental secrets to neurological success or secret skills which underpin performance that most people aren't aware of. Balance is one of them, and what's going on at the feet is one of these underpinnings. So we want not only super strong feet, which is also undervalued and often undeveloped, but we also want very, very skilled feet. So one of the easiest places to start is on some foam, which is one of the most criticized things that you'll see. But there's a tool called the Toe Pro from Human Locomotion, someone who's done studies on the feet. He's been working with feet as a primary focus. He's developed his own foam pad, which is more ergonomically designed than this one. I have one of them in Australia, but I don't have it here with me. But what it allows you to do is get some range of motion when you're pushing into the surface. And so it's like working against resistance. I actually prefer doing this on the Bosu ball better than the pad and even better than the Toe Pro. Pushing into the pad, into the ball with my toes, I can feel I'm getting some range of motion. And I'm also getting some balance stimulus because as I deform one part of the ball, the other part of the ball plays with me. So this is a good foundational level. Anything on the Bosu ball, spending a lot of time on it. This is probably the most ridiculed piece of equipment in the strength and conditioning world. I would also argue that it's probably the most valuable and most undervalued tool. Just because it's unstable doesn't mean you're not exerting strength and skill. Spending a lot of time on the ball. I've been on here for 30 minutes to an hour each day. I'll listen to a podcast, read, all while getting these micro balances on the balls of the feet here, pushing up into the toes. these micro variations in balance, being able to get onto balance no matter where we start, is key for performance. It's making my legs feel younger. I got up to double body weight back squat and 100 kilo snatch. I didn't feel as good on my feet as I do right now, where I'm not at those strength levels, but I'm more adaptable. I'm able to get into these positions, knees forward. Before, my knees were hurting with this, which obviously the ATG path and some of that has been valuable along this journey. But it's also just valuing bodyweight only training and balance training. You will feel it, you will know, you will see it with those that you're working with. You don't need it to be shown in a study to know that it's important. This is a shot put. Shot put can also serve as a balance ball. So you're getting some plantar fascia, myofascial release. You're also getting a balance stimulus. This would be a more advanced development variation. I'm a big fan of getting onto the Swiss ball and balancing. Again, another thing that's been highly ridiculed. But think about, would you want your child to be able to do this? If your child's able to do this at 2 years old, at 3 years old, they're likely to be that freak athlete that is able to just make plays because they're on balance. The complexity of sport is you're doing balance, at the same time you're doing coordination, at the same time you're solving what's going on in your environment, but there's this underpinning. There's also the visual stuff that's going on, there's the vestibular stuff that's going on, tilting the head, looking up and down. If your brain is a super brain for all of these foundation or secret skills, then you can put the other skills on top of that with a lot less. It's going to just be higher quality. You've got more potential for managing elite biomechanics and elite force because the foundation is there. Part of the reason this type of thinking has been lost and left out is because a lot of strength and conditioning comes from track and field, where it's the most linear elements of force production, straight line force, thinking about high jump, thinking about javelin, 100-meter running. Because they're so simple, don't get me wrong, there's a specific skill development to them, but a lot of it, once that movement's been practiced a lot, it's going to come down to who can produce the most force. Now, interestingly, the world's best shot putter broke the world record. He has a slack line in his gym. Now, it could just be he doesn't think anything of it, and the slack line is there just for fun. Maybe it's his child's, but I've seen him use it in his videos, and chances are it's not just for fun. If you look at Werner Gunther, a lot of people watch the Werner Gunther clips have gone viral. I first watched that video on VHS back in 2001 or 2. The French, he's Swiss shot putter, the original text and voiceovers all in French. He's using a balance beam. He's a shot putter. The part of what they do in that, there's a lot of skill and balance element to it. Most people just watch the plyometrics and the heavy lifting, but the balance element is actually there. And so the world's best shot put athlete is getting on the slack line. This is the Gibbon board that's the company name, the brand name as well. But it allows more of this forwards and backwards stuff as well. And you see, once you're doing these kinds of movements, it's more like something that you might recognize. And this is not necessarily instability training. This would make sense that someone might do this type of training if they were, something like a downhill rollerblade racer or a skateboarder. If you weren't able to spend a lot of time, surfers especially, it's hard for them to spend a lot of time on the wave because the nature of waves, if they don't have a wave machine. But we can get some of that kind of stimulus. I can tell you that I wasn't comfortable on this type of thing at all a year ago, and it feels great to be more comfortable with these type of training and positions. Most people are going to care more about this. They're going to enjoy this more than adding another 5 kilos, 10 kilos to their back squat. And guess what? Your squat is going to go up. For the majority of people who are squatting less than body weight, when they can do this and they're doing 2-minute intervals of these types of exercises, their squat's going to go up anyway, because they don't need to specialize to be able to improve. But at the same time as getting the squat, they're getting life abilities. They're getting something that is going to prevent them falling over in the shower when they're 60, 70, 80, breaking their hip. And then there's a downward spiral of health issues that come from there. Balance and balls are what we need. I love the domes. So the dome goes with the stash. Think about it sort of like rock climbing, where we want to be able to hit these harder positions. If you're training on the hangboard and fingerboards, we often only use it for 2 or 3 seconds. If you're doing grip training, you want to lift the thing up, hold it, put it down. You only need to be able to hold those positions for 3 seconds. You could find any position on this, make it more challenging, hold some extra weight if you need to, swap sides. Every ankle position. Same thing on the Bosu ball. If you're able to hold these postures, you use a lot of the perineals, a lot of the lateral element, medial element of the calves, ankle skill. You're going to feel less vulnerable to rolling ankles. You see people getting stronger and stronger in linear exercise, but then if you roll the ankle, it's all for nothing. You have to wait until your ankle works again, or you can't play your sport, you can't apply things. This Bosu ball is absolutely brilliant for feeling that in a fairly natural way, feeling this rolling into the outside of the ankle. I'm building a specific program for the Bosu ball because it has so many valuable uses that I wish I would have been invited to test. See, I almost rolled my ankle there. Like, that really went into the crazy position. Maybe, you can go too far with all this stuff. Like, maybe I nearly just really hurt myself, but I didn't. And you can't really know if the reason I didn't really just hurt myself is because I've been training on here, or if it would have been fine anyway. What I can tell you for sure is that I can feel these muscles working. I know that there's loading going into the bones, into the ligaments, into the tendons in an off-center kind of a way. This right leg, right foot has been underactive in the past, and I can give it so much skill development and force in a controlled way. Beautiful thing. So if you want it simplified down, start with the pipes, balancing type work. Slant work is also a great place to start. You can be juggling in this position, throwing against the wall. Same thing, you only need to hit the positions 3 to 5 seconds. You could add a weight vest, you could hold weight in one hand. If you've got those micro variations of doing some skill at the same time, then neurologically it's getting more complex, which is what we want. The best athletes are able to solve the movement puzzle while there's a lot going on. So this is stacking our skills. And yeah, it's circus training. Circus athletes are fantastic. They have very well developed brains, and circus athletes get paid to perform in something that's non-competitive. There aren't that many people who are getting paid for their athletic ability in non-competitive endeavors. Circus athletes are some of them because their abilities are so freakish that people are willing to pay. So yeah, even that 2-ball, 1 foot slant, it's really tough. Balance, it's number one. It comes first. You need it first as a child. If you're working with someone who's deconditioned, the biggest gift that you can give them is to give them back surety on their feet, stability on their feet. And then we can use that to go into being able to use balls. Soccer is a great foundation. The reason people are in the parks in China kicking a badminton back and forth is because that's an excellent longevity tool for them to hit these balance positions. And you might be like, well, yeah, I play soccer, I don't need this. Soccer players probably the ones who have some of the best balance because they spend so much time on 1 foot and they have to hit those positions dynamically and on the run. Still, why would we not want to take that further? If you think about ballet dancers, it's probably the highest level of balance expression. They're still going to be working on it every day. They're going to be hitting those difficult positions. Chances are your soccer isn't maximally developing your balance and foot strength. That's why we do supplemental speed training and strength training, is because there's a little bit more that we can do beyond what the sport exposes us to. If you're not a soccer player, chances are your sport isn't developing your balance anywhere near as much as it could. If you don't have any of this equipment, basic bodyweight exercises, balancing bottom of the pistol, heel off the ground, mid position, heel off the ground, being able to do something in these positions. You don't need to have the equipment, but the equipment opens up different possibilities. The pipes you can use also facing this way. I usually go a little bit across the pipe if I'm using one. But then I'm getting like a splayed effect with the foot as well. Being able to change our hip height, the speed of change of hip height. I have had one fall off the pipe. I've fallen off the Swiss ball a couple times. You'd have to be careful with this stuff. If you're giving it to other people, then you choose the level. It's common when people start with the pipes is to use poles to give them extra balance. You could be holding on to dip bars or whatever as well if you want to make it easier. You can have 1 foot on the ground, single foot this way as well, nice progression. If you don't have this particular type of pipe, this is the cork pipe. The foam roller will also work. You can get pipe at most hardware stores. That's what you'll generally see used in the Marinovich system. I just had this pipe because it came with the board. So this is another one. Balancing. If you overbalance on this one, generally just goes down. It's still a bit wild, still fast. It's challenging when you begin. The deeper positions. Deep squat. Boom, boom. So the strength and conditioning purists have been pushing people away from this because it there was the study. It just became something that is easy to ridicule. It's an easy thing to say, we don't do this, we do that. But once you actually do it, it's inherently rewarding and enjoyable. Balance is one of the few things that people do it as a hobby. Skateboarding, snowboarding, surfing. Most people are not going to make any money with those things, and they're doing it on their own, and they're enjoying it. Rollerblading, skating. So we inherently enjoy balance. If you have children, you see children, they'll gravitate towards any kind of balance tool and trick. The swing is like training for the vestibular system, and you're not balancing, but your body is getting used to different orientations. Trampoline, I also put into balance. It's a dynamic form of balance where you're scrambling yourself and then returning to another jump, or being able to return to orientation from your front or your back. The pipe I didn't use. I really like this one for mobilizing the foot. You kind of splay across it. You find pipes, rails are a good one to use. Parkour athletes have been using rails as their warm-ups for a long time. It's like the pipe idea. Ido Portal was encouraging people to walk rails. The Marinovich system uses the pipes and been used for a long time. If we use the pipes, the slant, and then some kind of more dynamic balance, you're going to do okay. If you've got the slant board, if you want to play around, I've got specific videos on a lot of these different tools. This is step one, balance. On top of that, then we add the balls, and the third big skill is beats. So being able to get out of rhythms, placing the feet, dancing, speed training, sprinters work falls into the beats category as well. Finding your rhythm, finding your pace. You're gonna love this once you get into it. Break away from the dogma that we don't need balance. It's a lie, it's a myth, it's a shame that it got perpetuated. I wish I wouldn't have hung on to that false belief as well, that we don't need balance training, that we should be concerned about instability training causing decrease in power. It's really nothing that you should be worrying about. If there is some micro disadvantage for a short period of time, it's outweighed by the benefits, and we want more adaptable athletes, especially for complex sports like soccer. We want more adaptable athletes. Doesn't mean we shouldn't be doing things to improve their force. Some people will say, oh, there's only 24 hours in a day and we don't have time for it. It's not super demanding in that sense that it's going to take away from what you can do with the rest of your training. If you're a serious athletes in many sports are doing 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of training a day. I was reading the diaries of Niels van der Poel. He was training 6-7 hours a day to be able to be the best speed skater in the 5K and the 10K. Doing some balance training is not going to destroy your nervous system or tip you over in terms of training volume. Cool thing is, because it's a skill, it's something that you're going to retain to a large extent if you develop it, especially with differential learning, different conversation. But once you have it, you're going to have it for the future to a large extent as well. If you've learned how to surf or how to skate, how to ride a bike, then you're going to be able to return to those things. So they're going to hang around for a long time once you have those abilities. I like having all of these different tools because we can really progress a long way. I myself and most athletes would get bored if you're just doing the same things over and over. So it's nice to have testable things and challenges. There's so much you can do with these different tools. And then if you have training partners, or when you incorporate balls together with it, then you can go in many directions. And that's really what sport is about, being adaptable, being able to fit to the environment, being able to react to the environment with skill. So I hope you found this valuable. I'd love to hear your questions. I'd love to hear your suggestions, things that I didn't mention that maybe I should have, or people who are doing a great job in this that I should check out. And yeah, let's get exceptional with balance as our foundation for everything that we're doing as new athletes.